How you doing today, Mickey?
Hanging in there.
So we're just going to do the intro, and then right from there, we'll get right into the interview.
Nice Phillies shirts. I like it.
Thank you. So today on the Matt and Ann Show, we got Mickey Morandini.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Mickey?
I'm good. I'm waiting for that sun to come out. We haven't had any sun for a few days, so I need a nice day out there.
Lately. So we basically want to start the interview out. What do you think about the current Phillies, and where do you see them going in their future?
Yeah, it was obviously a disappointing year this past year. Obviously, it's been a really weird year in the sports world with COVID out there and no fans in the stands. But a little disappointed. I really thought they had a good chance of making the playoffs, especially with the expanded playoffs. But obviously, it didn't work out. Their bullpen really hurt them throughout the year. So they've got some things they've got to address. They got to address the catcher situation. Shortstop, obviously the bullpen. They probably are going to need another outfielder. They're going to need another starting pitcher. So they've got a lot of decisions to make. Do they sign JT or do they use that money and sign 3 or 4 other needs? So it's going to be an interesting offseason, that's for sure.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. You think they're going to sign JT? And if they don't, where do you think they're going to put that money towards?
I think the only way they can sign him is if they're the highest bidder, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to outbid the Mets. They just got a new owner in Cohen, and he's got money all over the place that he wants to throw out on some free agents. So I don't think it looks very good right now unless JT wants to come back here and not go anywhere else. But I don't know if that's the case because from what I understand is he wants to be one of the highest paid players in baseball. So if that doesn't happen, that's a huge void that we have to fill, and I don't know where we fill it from. That's for sure, probably free agency somewhere.
If you were in that position right now, what would be your thought process? Do I really want that guy, or do I don't,
or do you get like more people?
Yeah.
How do we get more people in here?
Yeah, like how do you if you don't sign JT,
right?
How do you use that money on other people to help the team?
Basically? Well, I mean, you're saving yourself probably, $25 million a year probably. So you have to allocate that in maybe 3 players. Maybe you get a couple of bullpen guys and a catcher, or sign a fairly cheap starter that can give you a lot of innings, and sign a catcher and maybe a 4th outfielder. It's going to vary. I mean, they have Arrieta's money off the books. They'll probably have JT's unless they re-sign them. Probably Didi's off the books because I don't think their goal is to re-sign him. I'm not sure. I don't know what the plan is, but they're going to have a lot of money to spend, I think, depending obviously on can we get some fans back into the ballparks and things like that. But they're going to have – I don't think they can afford to just allocate all that money to 1 or 2 players. It's going to have to be distributed amongst several relief pitchers, an outfielder, a starting pitcher, a catcher, those types of things. Now, what they could do is they could move keep Bohm at 3rd, Kingery at 2nd, and move Segura back to shortstop. That would save them some money where they wouldn't have to go out and get a shortstop, and that's probably what they're going to end up doing, I would think, if they don't re-sign Didi. So we'll see what happens. I know free agency is coming up here pretty quickly, I think. So they're going to have to make some decisions. I'm sure they're working on that now. We don't even have a full-time general manager right now. We have an interim general manager. So we'll see what happens.
You think they're going to keep the universal DH?
I don't know if they're – I haven't heard anything about the DH. I know eventually they're going to go to it. It's just a matter of time. I don't know if it'll be this upcoming year. I really haven't heard anything on it, to be honest with you. I think they're going to go back to normal extra innings. You know, they're not keeping the guy at second base, things like that. But I haven't heard anything about the rules changes or any changes coming up and what they're going to do yet.
Yeah, that main one I didn't like was extra innings. That was the only one I didn't like of the new one.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I'd say play the game out normally, but I understand why they did it this year. But no, I don't like that either. You know, if it goes 25 innings, it goes 25 innings. That's baseball.
Because easily you could get a hit right away, scores the run, and then you have to act right away the next inning or the bottom part of the inning.
Right. Yeah, it's you know, they're doing it in the minors like that, and I guess they like it because it obviously, you didn't see very many extra inning games go very long. I mean, I don't think the longest might have been 12 or 13 innings. So in that aspect of saving your pitching and not having to throw a position player, things like that, it did help. But, you know, not all changes that they've done, like you said, I've liked, that's for sure.
You were a head coach in the minors, and you were also a coach on the Phillies staff a couple years ago. Have you ever considered maybe being a head coach in the majors, or?
Yeah, that was one of my goals, was to be a big league manager. But you know, I managed in the minors for a couple years, and then I did some other roles. I was a hitting coach for a year. I was a bench coach for a year, and then in the big leagues, I was a first base coach, which I helped with the base running and infield stuff. But you know, in the game today, to be honest with you, it's who you know to get these jobs. And I've been kind of out of the loop a little bit here the last few years. I'm the Phillies team ambassador now, so I'm kind of on the other side. But there's so many young GMs out there now that they're trying to bring in young managers that have the same philosophies. So I don't know if that'll ever materialize or not. But it was a goal of mine to manage in the big leagues for sure.
Who was your favorite player to play with when you were playing?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Who was your favorite player to play with during your playing career?
Oh, favorite player? You know, my favorite teammate was Darren Dalton. Just a great guy, a great team leader. He really helped me in my career as far as learning how to play hurt, dealing with the media, things like that. He was tremendous in the clubhouse. And also one of my favorite players was Kevin Stalker, who was my shortstop mate. I played second, he played short, and we were together for about 4 or 5 years, I think, as a double play combination. So we still keep in touch. And so those two guys were probably two of my favorite teammates of all time.
You're also famous for your unassisted triple play.
Yeah.
How was that feeling when you got that? Because that's a long
you know, the play really lasted all of 4 or 5 seconds. You know, from the time the bat made contact with the ball to I dove and tramped on second and tagged Bonds. It really lasted a few seconds, but really didn't know the importance of it at the time. I just said, hey, got 3 outs here, and you know, let's go win this game, because it was tied at the time, and it was in the 6th or 7th inning, I believe. But after the game, all the reporters came up to me and told me the importance, that I was the first second baseman to do it in the regular season. I was the 9th player ever to turn an unassisted triple play. So it was pretty awesome, that's for sure. And I got to do it in front of my hometown family, because I'm from Pittsburgh. So a lot of my family and friends were at that game. So that was pretty cool too.
And with the shift now and all that, I don't think we'll ever see one again. You haven't had one in 11 years. So.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know there's been 15 of them. I don't know if Bruntlett was the last one to do it or not. He was. Yeah, I don't know if he was number 15 or not. But yeah, the shift definitely does not allow you to do that. Obviously, they don't shift on everybody. I'm sure we'll see it again, but you know, it's one of the fewest.
Before then.
Yeah, it's one of the fewest occurrences in baseball. So, you know, you're not going to see it a lot, that's for sure. And everything has to play out right. You know, for me, normally with guys at first and second and no outs, you don't send the runners because of you don't want to make multiple outs on a line drive. But Leland sent them, and it worked out for me. But, you know, everything has to fall perfectly, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you used to do before you got into a game, and listen to music or anything like that?
Before games,
Yeah,
I had a pretty good routine. You talking about a routine? I
yeah,
had a pretty good routine that I did. I mean, I'd get up, your days are long. You usually get to the ballpark around 1. You don't get home till probably midnight most times, especially when I played because the game started a little bit later. So you get a routine. You sleep in. My wife was fortunate enough to cook me a nice dinner. I usually had my dinner for lunch, so she cooked me a nice lunch around noon or so, and then go to the ballpark about 1, and I'd work out. I'd watch video of opposing pitchers that were going to pitch that night. So I had a pretty good routine. I tried to do the same things in my batting practice, work on going the other way, hitting. For me, hitting the ball in the air wasn't an option because when I hit the ball in the air, it usually got caught. I had to work on hitting line drives and hard ground balls, especially on that turf at that stadium. So I had a pretty good routine. I wasn't very superstitious at all. The only thing I really did is I never touched the white line going on and off the field. That was really the only thing I did. And when I got out to second base, to start the inning, I would make sure I touched second base before I went to my position. But other than that, not a very superstitious guy, and just tried to do the same things over and over and get into a good routine and get into a good frame of mind before the game started.
is there anything that motivates you to become a baseball player or anything like that?
Yeah, there were 3 things that motivate me. One is winning. I would do anything to win. For me, that's the purpose of why you play games and sports and whatever you're doing. It's to win. So that was a motivation for me. 2, fear of failure motivated me, especially here in Philadelphia. You fail, they're gonna let you know. So you didn't want to be that guy that struck out all the time and had to go back to the dugout and listen to it from the fans. So fear of failure motivated me in a way. And thirdly, when someone told me that I couldn't do something, that was probably my main motivation. Because from the get-go, people didn't think I could be an everyday player. A lot of people didn't think I could hit left-handed pitching. A lot of them said my arm wasn't strong enough, blah, blah, blah. So all that stuff motivated me to become as good as I could be. So those 3 things really motivated me, especially as I got older.
Yeah, you know, is there anything that you might do behind being a baseball player?
Do is
As a career, like, was there any options you wanted to do outside of baseball before you became a baseball player?
well, I went to college to be a teacher.
Okay.
So I've always enjoyed working with kids, still do. I do a lot of baseball camps and things for kids. And so that was one of the things I wanted to do. But, once I started to have some success, actually basketball was my number one love. I really loved playing basketball in high school. But I knew I didn't have a future at the NBA level for sure in basketball. So I turned to baseball in college. But once I started having success in sports, that was really what I wanted to do. And I was fortunate enough to stay healthy and work hard and have the right people teach and coach me and get me there. So it worked out good.
You were on the 1988 Olympic team that won the gold medal. Do you think we'll ever see major league players play in the Olympics? Because I heard Bryce Harper talk about it, wanting to represent the USA in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, the only way they could do that, I think they would have to either the Olympics would have to be late that year. Like I was lucky the Olympics were in October that year.
Yeah.
Or they would have to put a halt on the season, kind of like hockey, I think, has done in the past, to where you take a 3-week period and you send over. But a lot of teams aren't going to let you do that because the pitchers, they're paying these guys millions and millions of dollars, and they don't want to send them over there and have them get hurt. So I don't really see MLB player. Now the minor leaguers will be able to do it, but not the guys that are in the big leagues. I can't see that happening anytime soon.
With that being said, is there anybody right now that you would play with in your time?
On the Olympic team?
No, like a player right now. Was there any player right now you would like to play with during your playing career?
Oh, God, there's a lot of them now. There's so many great athletes like the Acuna and You know, Tatis Jr., those young players, would love to play with. But, you know, I'd love to play behind a Kershaw or DeGrom, those types of players, Cole. And also I would love to play with, you know, I would have loved to play with Jeter, that's for sure, you know, as a shortstop and some of those guys. But, you know, the athletes are so strong and fast and talented nowadays. It's pretty amazing the things that they can do.
During your career, was there ever a time you were in awe against anybody you played against?
Yeah, Barry Bonds.
Yeah, I'm playing against this guy.
Barry Bonds, he was unbelievable. Just he did it all. He hit for power. He had one of the best eyes in baseball. He walked over 200 times every year. He could run. He could play defense. He could steal a base. You know, he could hit for average. He did it all, and he was fun to watch. You know, he wasn't a well-liked player by a lot of people because, you know, he wasn't nice to a lot of people. But, man, he could play for sure. And it was an honor to play against him. He was always nice to me. Anytime I'd go up and talk to him, like during batting practice or ask him for an autograph or something, he was always very genuine with me. So, but he was special. He was obviously the best athlete and ball player that I ever played against, for sure.
Do you have any favorite basketball team? I know you mentioned that you like basketball. Do you have a favorite basketball team?
A team in basketball? Yeah, you're probably not gonna like this, but I'm a Laker fan. I grew up with Magic Johnson. I was a huge Magic Johnson fan. He's my all-time favorite player, and I've stuck with the Lakers. Now, obviously, it's a pretty good organization to stick with because they're, you know, other than that run after Kobe retired, they weren't very good. They've always, you know, been a very good team. But I'm just a Laker fan in general, and I'm a huge Magic Johnson fan.
I was just gonna say I'm a Warrior fan. So.
Warriors, you front runner. You're a front runner.
I'm a Clippers fan. You can't say I'm a front runner.
No, but they've been good the last number of years. But obviously, disappointing this year. But
hopefully, we recover next year.
What made you a Clippers fan?
So I lived out in LA, and I started going to the games, and I started liking the team.
So you didn't go to Lakers games, you went to Clippers games, huh?
Well, I was going to go to a Lakers game, and then my friend's like, come to a Clippers game.
Because they were two separate arenas back then, right?
No, when I got out there, they were at Staples Center.
Oh, they were, okay.
And, yeah, it was – I never thought I'd be a Clippers fan, but it happened. I've been a fan.
And what makes you a Warriors fan? Steph?
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a basketball fan at the time, so I went with that team, and I've been a Warrior fan ever since.
Okay. Well, they're supposed to be good again this year, so we'll see what happens.
We still rooted for them when they lost 50 games.
Yeah, well, that's a true fan then.
And do you see doing like a TV show or a reality show?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Do you see yourself doing a TV show or a reality show?
I don't think so. I'm not that interesting. I think people would be tuning me off because I'm probably pretty boring. But
what's your favorite ballpark to play in?
You know, Wrigley Field. I played with the Cubs for a couple years when I left the Phillies. So Wrigley's probably my favorite. Just the atmosphere and day games, and you know, the beautiful ivy on the you know, wall, things like that. It was a great place to play.
You were on the 93 Phillies. What is your fondest moment from that season?
I just think the way we went about winning. I mean, we did things the right way. We played defense. We had great starting pitching. Relief pitching was really good. We knew how to catch the baseball. We could run the base. We did all the little things. You know, we could win in so many different ways. We could hit a home run. We could draw a walk. We bunted guys. We hit and ran. We did all kind of different things to win ball games. So that's probably the most thing I'm proud of that team, especially because nobody had us picked to do anything that year. And for us to come out and be in first place the entire year but one day, that was pretty amazing.
Every year I was born, 1993, right?
93, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Is there a TV show that you grew up with as a kid?
What did I grow up with?
TV show that like you really liked?
TV show. Yeah, I mean, I liked a lot of, you know, I was a big like SWAT and Rookies, and I don't know if you remember any of those. Those types of shows on TV. I really liked Starsky and Hutch. Probably my favorite. Yeah, I grew up, you know, watching. I still, you know, they still show a lot of those old shows on TV, and I'll flip them on and watch them. You know, the $6 Million Man and those types of TV shows. Obviously, a lot different than what they're showing on TV today. But you know, back in the day, those are really popular shows.
Absolutely. This is my last question for you, but casting the next year, who do you think's going to be in the World Series next year? I know it's a long ahead, but
I mean, obviously, free agency is going to dictate some things, but I mean, I got to believe the Dodgers got to be front runners again. I mean, they're going to bring most of those guys back, and they always have great minor league system. A lot of their players are young. Even their starting rotation, I think they have 3 guys in there that are, you know, 26 or younger.
Yeah.
So I would say the Dodgers have to be front runners in the National League. American League is probably going to be a little more wide open. You know, I'll throw out this team. I'm going to throw out the Minnesota Twins.
Okay.
You know, they seem to be hyped for some free agency pickups, and they weren't far behind this year. They had a pretty good squad. So I'm just going to throw the Twins out. We'll see what happens.
And they got nice bats over there, too.
Yeah, they got a pretty solid team. And
one more pitcher there, they're going to make
and they seem like they're a team that wants to add pieces. So I'll throw them out there. The American League is going to be pretty wide open, I think.
If you could work with any team right now, who would you work with and why?
What team would I root for now?
Yeah.
Work for.
Work for? Phillies. I don't want to work for anybody else. Phillies have been great to me. I've been a player there for 11 years. I was a coach there for 7. I've been the ambassador here for 3, and they've treated me like royalty. So there's no other organization I'd want to work for, that's for sure.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap it up, but we want to ask you want to promote anything?
No, not really. There's nothing to promote right now because there's not a lot going on. You know, I just, you know, keep believing in your Phillies and stay with your Phillies, and hopefully we can get some fans back into the ballpark here, and you know, hopefully we can go out and get a few pieces and you know, right the ship here a little bit and get back to the playoffs like we all expect us to. I think 2021 it can't get much worse, right? So I think we're gonna have a good year in 2021, just in general. You know, get this virus the heck out of here and look for some positive things here in 21.
We want to thank Mickey Morandini for coming on the Matt and Ann Show. Thank you so much, Mickey.
Thanks, guys. Had fun. Stay safe.